Okay, hi, I'm Olivia, and this is my mom, Veronica Proulx, and I'm going to be interviewing her on a couple questions. Okay, so starting off with the first question. Are you happy with your daily routines that you have built into your life? And if you could change one routine, what would you change about it?
Am I happy with my daily routine? Mine personally or the family's?
Or just the daily routines in general that you have built into your day. Like, do you think that they're solid? Do you think that they work well for you?
I think that they get done what needs to get done. Ideally, I think I'd like to be exercising in the morning rather than in the evening because it's harder at the end of the day when you're feeling tired. But just logistically, I have so much to do in the morning with packing all the kids' lunches, laying out clothes, everything like that, that I would have to get up way too early and I wouldn't get enough sleep. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. But if there was one thing I could change, I guess eventually when you guys are older and don't need me to do as many things in the morning, then I can have a little bit more time to exercise then and have the evenings to myself to relax a little bit more.
Okay, awesome. That sounds great. Okay, moving on to the next question. Do you think that the way that you were raised had a big impact on the ways of which you have parented us throughout our lives?
Oh my goodness, that's a loaded question.
It's okay.
I always see parenting as, you take the things that you learned or that you saw that your parents did that you liked and appreciated, and you take those and you pass them down to your kids. But the things that you didn't like or you think that were not helpful or beneficial for you that your parents did, you cut those out and you do things differently. So I think I kind of tried to use that as a guiding post for me raising you guys. For example, one of the things that I really liked and appreciated being raised in my family was that my family was very emotionally open with each other. So we always said, I love you all the time. I knew I could go talk to my mom about anything. So I always kind of try to keep those lines of communication open with you guys. Mm-hmm. What else? My parents also weren't like over strict with us, I would say. I think that they gave us a lot of not freedoms, but a lot of room to be independent, to make our own choices and fail. Because kind of failure is kind of important because you learn from it, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously not safety issues, right? But in other ways. So I like that too, and in the way that I was raised in that. So I try to do that with you guys as much as possible too. Things that I didn't find were super beneficial growing up. I think there was a lot of shame from my mom growing up for some different things that still kind of affect me to this day. So I always try to be really hyper vigilant about not putting shame on you guys for things. Another thing that now that I'm older and I look back is that my mom had, I don't want to say too high of expectations, but that my parents really, really praised achievements
and like
versus effort.
So they were very like academically motivated.
Not even academic, just with everything. Like they would praise the outcome of it. They would praise I was high achieving. Mm-hmm. And so they would always praise, the good grades or the getting something in a competition or whatever, right? But then, when that happens, a kid starts to equate their worth with achievements. Yeah. And life is not always going to be you coming out on top or getting the best.
Of course not.
So just for me, as I got older, because I really struggled with perfectionism my whole life and the anxiety that goes along with that, I try my best to, with you guys, instead praise and point out like the effort behind things and the hard work behind things versus what the outcome is. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really long answer.
No, that's good. That's really, really good.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. Think about all of the reoccurring events that we have built into our life. So whether that's trips, whether that's social events, XYZ, why do you continue with these reoccurring events, and why are they of such high value to you?
So the trips to Sudbury, so as you know, I grew up in Sudbury, so we don't live where I grew up, so all my family is there. And it's really important to me for you guys to be close to my family. So we really try to, go there at least a couple of times a year with you guys so that you guys can keep that relationship going with my family. Mm-hmm. And you guys have really built strong relationships with my family over the years because of that. I grew up where family was valued above all else. Like that family is number one top important thing. Yeah. And I still carry that with me to this day.
I can definitely still see that within your side of the family.
Yeah. Other recurring things, so like Christmas get-togethers.
Yeah, or like trips to the cottage.
Yeah.
Like why is it so important to you that those are reoccurring events and we continue to do those?
Yeah. Well, I mean, cottage is our
recreation,
our family time, right? Yeah. Because when we're at home, it's just so quick. Like there's just so much. There's homework, there's us work, there's extracurriculars, there's music practice, homework, like all of that, right? Like it's so much. Mm-hmm. So we often don't get a lot of time to spend just chilling as a family at home. So I really covet our weekends when we go away together to the cottage, because we try to, keep tech to a minimum. We don't have friends there. We don't do a lot of, other kind of obligations. So it just gives us a chance to really connect as a family. Yeah. And then things like Christmas get-togethers are really important because our extended family and friends, so we don't get to see a lot. It's just like a touchstone, right? Like you have a few times throughout the year, like once in the summer, once at Christmas, maybe once in between there somewhere where you get together so that you keep up, because friendships are important too, and extended family too.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great answer. Okay, I'm on to my last question, okay? Oh wait, no, there's two more, sorry.
Okay.
Next question. What do you think are some of the major distinguishing factors when it comes to you expressing emotions versus dad expressing emotions?
Expressing emotions?
Yeah.
Well, I think dad feels really safe in expressing emotions that are less vulnerable feeling, so like anger and frustration.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty typical of men. Whereas they don't feel as comfortable expressing emotions that are seen as more vulnerable, right? Like sadness or disappointment or feeling hurt and those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
I think I differ in that. I find it uncomfortable actually to express anger and frustration. Yeah. I don't sit well in that, and maybe that's because of social norms of women. Like women shouldn't be angry, right?
Yeah.
But women, there's a place for anger and there's a place for sadness, right? But I think that it's so ingrained in us that girls are not supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
So I don't feel comfortable sitting in anger or frustration. I feel more comfortable sitting in those more vulnerable emotions, whether that's disappointment, sadness, hurt, stress, whatever it is. So I think I tend to communicate those feelings maybe a little bit more to you guys, and then dad's the opposite, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. I also, just to chime in, I also think, another big part of that too, just from observation, I think that you're somebody who's very emotionally intelligent, and a lot of people struggle, to find that, but I think because, that's just how the way that your brain works. That could be another big part of it too, maybe.
Well, and I'm a counselor too, right? So that's part of my profession.
Exactly.
I have to be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
So, that probably plays a lot into it as well.
Yeah.
The differences.
Okay. Now, finally, last question. Why did you decide to not give us set in stone chores like other families?
Well, one thing, some families give allowances.
Yeah, but
to kids. I never got allowances growing up. I never got an allowance growing up because in our family growing up, it was everyone's job to maintain the household. And so there wasn't payment for that. It was just your responsibility.
Yeah.
I actually had a lot of chores growing up, and I actually think this is one of the things that I veered away from with you guys. Not that I feel like it was too much on me, but because the academic demands on me were so high and the other demands on me that were so high, it was really hard to balance those demands with the high demands of what was expected of me at home, to the point that I think it really negatively affected my mental health. Like I was having breakdowns all the time.
Yeah.
And it caused a lot of conflict between me and my parents too, because it was like I have a full day of homework and then you're expecting me to do all of these things around the house. So I think that's one of the reasons why I don't put that much on you guys. Because to me, I always kind of look at what is more important. Of course, teaching you guys responsibility in the house is important, but academics and you guys doing well at school is also important. And when you have two things vying for the same time, you got to pick one.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
So in my sense, the homework piece and doing well in school and in your extracurriculars like music and stuff like that is more important to me right now than you guys doing household chores. Between me, Dad, and Nan, we can do most of the household chores. That's fine. We go to work, we come home, we leave our work at work. We don't have homework in the evenings.
Yeah.
So we can do those things. You guys come home and then you have homework in the evenings, you have extracurriculars, you have... So to put all of these chores on you too, I personally feel as a parent is too much.
Yeah.
Of course, I do expect you guys to like keep your rooms clean.
Yeah, of course.
And keep your personal space clean, but when it comes to the whole house, not as much. But also just taking into the fact that you guys have ADHD too.
Yeah.
I like to make sure that demands aren't too high, because I know that when someone has ADHD, their mental battery becomes depleted much more quickly than someone who's not, who's neurotypical, right? So I want to make sure that after a long day of school, you guys have enough mental battery left to get your homework done, to get those extracurricular pieces done, and that's not all used up from doing chores or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's my answer for that one.
Okay, great answer. Do you have anything else that you want to add before I start?
I don't think so. I love you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.